Going to discuss today will revolve around this theme. So please, without wasting much time, I would like to call on Sister Veronica Ajiman to say the opening prayer for us. Thank you very much. Please, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hello.
Yes, Sister Veronica, please go ahead.
Please shall we pray? Our Lord and Master Jesus, we thank you for bringing us together this day. We thank you for your presence. We are grateful for the opportunity to go and learn. Father, we ask for wisdom for our speakers and attentive spirits for all our participants. We ask that may you bless this meeting and grant us with more focus and insights. Heavenly Father, please open our hearts to new ideas. May you fill our hearts with a desire to serve others, and let this meeting be a fruitful one for our professional and personal growth. This and many more we ask in the name of Jesus. Have we prayed with thanksgiving? Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Sister Veronica. Please, we'll have some opening remarks from Dr. Marty. Dr. Eugene Marty is the PSG chairperson for Ashanti region. So, Dr. Marty, please, your audience, please go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. And I would like to, on behalf of the executive body of PSG Ashanti branch, welcome all of us to this afternoon's CPD session. It's been an interesting and impactful long month celebration of our Kidney Awareness Month, and we've, in our own small and diverse ways, given a lot to the community. And I believe this is the time for us to refill and renew our own knowledge as we hopefully continue advocacy beyond the month of March. And I would like to express deep appreciation to the nephrology subspecialty group of PSG, led by Dr. Nanekia Bakuma Jiman Apia, and also our seasoned facilitators who have made time to join us this afternoon to educate us on the effect of our environment on the kidney. Once again, it promises to be an interesting one, and I hope we learn a lot as we enjoy this session. Welcome once again, and I would yield to the MC for today's program. Thank you very much, Esther.
Thank you, Dr. Marty. Thank you very much. Please, next on our program is a message from Pediatric Society of Ghana, the National Executive Council of the Pediatric Society of Ghana. And this will be delivered by the PSG president, Dr. Matilda Matebia Boy. Doc, please, let me check whose doc is on.
Hello.
Yes, please. Yes. Doc,
Can I
please.
go ahead?
Yes, please. You are welcome, Doc. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Due to my bandwidth, unfortunately, I am unable to show my video, but just to say,
Please, I can't hear Dr. Boy. I hope.
Can I be heard?
Yes, please, we can hear you
Can I be
now.
heard? Oh, I have said a lot, but most importantly, to congratulate the entire nephrology subspecialty group for putting this program together, and also for all the other activities that we have had during this month to commemorate the Kidney Health Month. We are really grateful to you for your leadership and for the great work. During the AGSM, somehow we did not talk too much about non-communicable diseases. That is the aspect that deals with kidney health, and you have found a way of bringing it to the fore for the whole society to be involved in. So thank you all very much for putting this together. We will continue to work together and look forward to the advice and the resolutions or whatever recommendations that will come out from this meeting. Thank you and have a good program.
Thank you very much, Dr. Boy. Thank you. So today we have a very wonderful person who is chairing the program for us. And I have the singular honor to introduce the chairperson for today's program. She is in the person of Dr. Mamie Nimato Brasafu. She is a clinician and a researcher, an educator as well. She has practiced as a pediatrician since 2009 and is a fellow of both the Ghana College of Physicians and West African College of Physicians. She has been an adjunct lecturer at the KNUST School of Medical Sciences since 2013 and postgraduate trainer since 2019. She is a WHO TDR fellow and a mentor of the Special Program for Research and Training in Tropical Diseases, which is a global program that supports research on infectious diseases of poverty. She holds a postgraduate certificate in international management from the University of Liverpool, UK. She's a senior specialist, a pediatric nephrologist, and the current head of the pediatric nephrology unit, and has been working in the pediatric nephrology unit for the past 13 years and has been instrumental in the unit since 2019. She is also a faculty member of nephrology nursing of the Ghana College of Nurses and Midwives, a role she has held since 2022. She's been instrumental in facilitating the teaching and performance of acute peritoneal dialysis, and to date, a total of 370 acute PDs have been done by the unit under her supervision. She believes strongly that no child with kidney disease, including chronic kidney disease, should die. And this led her to being instrumental in the setup of the Pediatric Hemodialysis Center in CAP in 2024, which is the first and only such center in the entire country. She was the postgraduate training coordinator of the Directorate of Child Health from 2023 to 2025. And currently, she's the head of Directorate of Child Health of the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. Sorry, please pardon me. So she's a food lover and enjoys traveling as a hobby. So please, with a round of applause, you can do that online. Please help me welcome Dr. Mamie Nima Atubra Safu. Doc, please, your audience, your chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Esther, for those kind words. And good afternoon to us all. I'm trying to show my video. I hope I don't go off. Okay. Okay, so thank you for choosing me as your chair for today. I hope you can see me. I'm not navigating the space well, but I've shown my video, so I hope I can be seen.
Doc, please, we can hear you. Yes, we
Can
can
hear.
hear.
All right. Okay, I can't see myself, so I hope I can be seen.
Yes,
Oh,
please.
okay. So thank you very much for choosing me as your chair for today's webinar. Indeed, the month has been very great with all the education that is flying left and right, center, down for everybody to have an idea or be infected with our kidney issues. This is the 20th year of the World Kidney Day, and their theme, Kidney Health for All, caring for people, protecting the planet. It highlights the interconnections of individual health and the environment. And it reminds us that healthy kidneys are essential for healthy communities and a healthy planet. And with your international speakers you've chosen, including my own sister, I have no doubt in my mind that at the end of this program, we'll be able to know the impact the planet is having on our health. And with this, I accept to chair this program. And at the end, I'll come back with my final comment. So thank you, PSG Ashanti, and thank you, Madam MC, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nima. Please, next we have a solidarity message from the Ghana Kidney Association, and this will be delivered by Dr. Haruna Mahama. Dr. Haruna, please, your audience.
Yeah. Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right. So I'm reading this solidarity message from the Ghana Kidney Association on behalf of Professor Elliot Corantin Hanno, who is the secretary for the association. So these are his words. All right. So, Madam Chairperson, distinguished executives of the Pediatric Society of Ghana, esteemed speakers, colleagues, and participants. On behalf of the Ghana Kidney Association, I bring you warm greetings and sincere solidarity as you convene for this important nephrology webinar held under the theme Kidney Health for All, Caring for People, Protecting the Planet. We commend the Pediatric Society of Ghana for its continued leadership in advancing child health and for placing a well-deserved spotlight on kidney disease among children, an area that increasingly demands national attention. Across Ghana and globally, the burden of kidney disease is growing steadily, and children represent a particularly vulnerable population whose needs often remain under-recognized. Early life kidney disorders not only affect survival and quality of life, but also shape health outcomes across the entire lifespan. The Ghana Kidney Association stands firmly with you in your efforts to deepen awareness, strengthen early detection, and promote equitable access to kidney care for every child. Your commitment to education, collaboration, and advocacy aligns closely with our shared mission of preventing kidney disease and improving outcomes through multidisciplinary partnerships. This year's theme reminds us that kidney health extends beyond clinical care. Caring for people requires strong health systems, trained professionals, and informed communities. while protecting the planet calls for sustainable healthcare practices and environmental stewardship, recognizing the interconnectedness between environmental health and kidney disease prevention. As partners in this journey, the Ghana Kidney Association pledges its continued collaboration with the Pediatric Society of Ghana in research, capacity building, public education, and policy advocacy aimed at safeguarding the kidney health of our children and future generations. We applaud all organizers and participants for contributing your expertise to this timely conversation. May today's discussions inspire actionable solutions and renewed commitment towards achieving kidney health for all. Thank you, and we wish you a successful and impactful webinar. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you very much, Dr. Mahama, for that solidarity message on behalf of Ghana Kidney Association. Please, before our first speaker delivers a presentation, we would have the message from one of our sponsors. He's in the person of Professor Asafo Frimpong. He is the CEO of Spectra Health Imaging and Interventional Radiology. Prof, please, if you are on, we are ready for you. Thank you very much. Let me check if Prof is on.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, so I needed to be allowed. Yes, thank you very much. And I'm actually very happy about this webinar. I didn't know you were meeting every month like that until Nanekia came to me. And we are very happy to support. And I can commit to maybe doing this yearly with Spectra and supporting the good work that you are doing. So all the best, and I'm keenly listening to the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. So please, I would like to introduce our first speaker. So our first speaker is Professor Sarah Etunaje. She's a trained pediatrician. Please, I hope I've pronounced your name right. She's a trained pediatrician and a public health expert with extensive experience in health equity, clinical care, medical education, and community-based research focused on improving child health outcomes. She's the co-chair for the Pediatric Society of Ghana Climate Change and Environmental Health Committee. Prof, please, you are welcome. And we are ready for you.
And I am grateful and ready. And yes, you pronounced my name just perfectly. Let's see. Okay. Wonderful. I think you can hear me, and I'm assuming my slides are visible.
Yes, please, we can hear you, and your slides are visible.
Wonderful. Well, I just want to express my deep gratitude for the invitation to take part in this webinar, and also my gratitude for having the focus of this webinar be on protecting the planet, on the impact of climate change and planetary health, environmental health on young people, because there is just such a huge impact, and on just the child in general, which is what I'm going to talk about. But then I'm delighted to have that focus be made specifically on renal health, because it is something that we all need to pay a lot of attention to so that we can do better. During this talk, I am going to take the opportunity to provide some beautiful imagery, which are they're all from Ghana, just to have us focus on, I think, as we realize the impact of planetary health destruction that is occurring in the country right now and globally, that we can remember that it is not normal, right? What is happening to our environment is not normal. And what we're seeing here in this beautiful image from the Nkasa forest in the western north region of Ghana, that is what is normal, right? That is what God intended for us to be enjoying. And so that we can focus on that and continue to not normalize these actions that are truly destructive. Let's see. There we go. So pressing climate change and environmental health issues in Ghana. There's actually quite a few. These are 3 top hitters that I'm going to focus on, but there's other issues that are addressing us in terms of environmental health. But so the 3 kind of high-level players that I'll focus on today are air pollution, and then plastics waste and fast fashion, and then heavy metal poisoning from gold mining. Again, this is another exquisite photograph. This is a photograph, not AI, not a painting, but a photograph of the Nkasa forest, the pristine Nkasa forest in the western north region. Air pollution. Air pollution in Ghana is pervasive. And so we have that, both in our own households, where someone may be burning garbage right over the wall, because of inadequate waste disposal. That just makes it that garbage burning happens too often in urban centers and across the country. Of course, we have I don't even have a picture of this, but we have so many people in the populations today that still will need to burn fuels for like wood and charcoal for cooking, right? So we know that, and the impact on child's lungs there. We have urban air pollution just from vehicles, and just both from increased numbers of vehicles that we see in urban centers, and then of course issues with poor maintenance that continue to be pervasive in the country. This is an image from Agbogboshi that we can see that we know is so close to Kolibu, one of our prominent pediatric centers in the country, and the burning, right, of e-waste that is occurring. And we know that e-waste isn't just e-waste that's generated here in Ghana, but that's e-waste that's actually dumped here. And so that would be considered through waste colonialism, right? And Ghana being unfortunately a dumping ground for this toxic waste. And so, what happened? And then, okay, what else did I put here? Factory emissions, spraying, other air pollution, even construction. We are a country of a lot of construction that goes on, and just knowing that even like the lead that is in construction materials being a major contributor to health issues, including renal health issues. So, from a child health impact perspective, we're talking about respiratory infections, we're talking about asthma, allergies, skin issues, renal issues. And in fact, in 2021, air pollution was the second leading risk factor for death amongst children under 5 after malnutrition. So here we see the global map of national population annual average PM 2.2 concentrations, and we just see this increased burden of disease in West Africa and these other countries, but so Ghana being amongst those places of really high levels of air pollution. Here, when we're thinking about effects on children, right, we're thinking about, again, impact on brain, impact on the lungs, hospitalizations, and then also thinking about beyond the lungs, right? Beyond the lungs, the heart, hormonal systems, and immunity all being impacted by air pollution. So again, to calm our brain, right? Some beautiful pictures from the Nkasa forest. Plastic pollution. We are facing what I call the plastic plague. It has taken over. And when I first came to Ghana in 1999, I remember that at that point, the sachet water, they were being tied, right? Tied at the top. And so sachet water, so that was almost 30 years ago, we had the sachet water. So, we've had the sachet water or sachets for quite some time. Of course, they've quote unquote, advanced in a way, and they've taken over. I remember being so impressed by the glass bottles and the really phenomenal reusing, not like recycling, but reusing system that was in place. But I remember also thinking, this is not going to last, and being so frankly remiss when Alvaro, one of my favorite drinks, went from glass to plastic. And I really try my best when I go to places to refuse plastic, and that it can be a bit tricky at times. But the reality is that recycling is really, it isn't a solution. It's very difficult, and there's been multiple studies, I'm not putting them here, showing that it's just not practical. It doesn't get done. So really just stopping and moving back, going into reusing patterns, and is going to be much more effective. So on top of the contaminated water, which we are familiar with, diarrheal diseases, we've got issues with flooding, right, that impact families because of choked gutters. Obviously, this impacts household income in terms of the impact on fisheries and fisher people, and then emerging knowledge of the impact of microplastics, plastics, and other chemicals on health, including kidney health. So single-use plastic, we use it for literally minutes, maybe hours. We've all seen it, right? We've all been given that black plastic, bag, and literally given it and just thrown away immediately. And then we know that it persists in the environment for literally hundreds of years. I actually had the great fortune several years ago to go to New Zealand at the time that New Zealand is an island country, that they had implemented a ban on plastics. And I went into a grocery store, and they had just within a few months implemented that ban, or maybe it was weeks. And, in order for us to then, to take food out of that grocery store, that, we use the box, right? And I think that's what a lot of folks, are, even, my children are like, well, what do we do? What are we going to do without, these plastic water bottles? What are these plastic bags? And the fact of the matter is that we've had those solutions for years. We know in terms of plastic wrappers around food, we've had the leaves, forever, and they're wonderful. And then we don't have that leaching into the food, right? And into the water. And then again, that the impact as well on our waterways, and as I discussed, all the other impacts. So, there's great evidence that microplastics are everywhere, just literally everywhere, including in breast milk. And so quantities in rivers, oceans, groundwater, sediments, everywhere, in air, aerosolized. And the impact on children, so fetal growth restriction, developmental delays, obesogenicity, immune disruption, and then chronic disease, including renal impact, is increasingly being identified. So here we go, and we're looking at, right, the placental transfer of microplastics, transfer through breast milk, and then other exposure routes of microplastics. I thought that this video would be worth us watching. Now, this is, I'm transitioning into the discussion of gold, which is obviously, the galamsey gold mining. This is such a huge topic for us right now when we're thinking about renal impact, renal health in the country. So I'm going to play this from, let's see. Super. So it's a pretty fast video, but I thought that would just be a good opportunity. So looking at that from the United Nations Environmental Program and thinking about, again, this topic that is so front and center on so many of our minds, and thinking about the impact of environmental destruction and human health. And so we as the Pediatric Society of Ghana and the Climate Change and Environmental Health Committee really have taken some time, really time and effort to try and raise awareness about the impact of gold mining on children's health in the country. Because what is happening is truly an existential crisis if it ever were one. So mining in Galamsey, you saw in that video a bit about the process of mining, right? And I think that we're all aware of it, although so much of it happens in the hinterlands, right? And so we're not visibly seeing it, although increasingly, we are again being aware, both, so many of you who are on this call are seeing the impact on, children who are coming to clinics. And then maybe we're driving right in the periphery, and increasingly not even so much in the periphery, and actually seeing waterways that have turned from the beautiful, pristine waterways that, I showed in that very first image to this muddy brown that is not normal. It's absolutely not normal. So mercury, lead, arsenic, and other heavy metals from illegal mining are seeping into our water. And then they are consumed as drinking water and then via fish that we enjoy eating and other animals and vegetation. And they are going into our bodies and those of our children. In fact, at this point, 65% of Ghana's water bodies are actually polluted to Galamsey. So I think this map is really striking of how much of the country right now is literally under attack through this illegal mining that is just threatening, really threatening the country. And if change is not made immediately, then we stand to lose. We stand to lose our water, and we stand to lose the country. And it will take years, decades to recover and reclaim the rivers. That is the reality of it. And unless it is stopped, recovery time is infinite, because rivers certainly can never heal. And as we know, we all have already lost rivers. In terms of repair, that's hard to say. And we even look at the Koli Lagoon, right? And these are absolute tragedies. Mothers are at the forefront of mining. Mothers are part of this, and thus so are babies. And so because mothers are carrying infants in utero and then afterwards are carrying them often on their back or carrying them in their vicinity when they are doing this work. And I think that we saw that in the video as well a bit. And of course, children are also doing mining. Children themselves are doing mining. So when we're thinking about human rights impacts related to child labor, this is a major problem. So this is old data when we're looking at mercury emissions, but I think we can assume it's not getting better, and just there are places, right, where where mining happens that aligns here. Let me actually go. So this is where we're actually looking at artisanal and small scale gold mining, and so where mining happens and where the emissions related to mercury are happening in the world, and certainly Ghana is one of the top hitters, and that's 10 years ago, right? And there's no question that we are still at the forefront. This is an image, just an artistic image of the River Pra. This was from now, a year and a half or so ago. So thinking about the mercury cycle, and so the way that mercury then and other heavy metals get into our systems, right? And so again, we saw that in the video, but so we have the mercury that is actually burned off, right? Mercury is used for extracting the gold, and that gets inhaled. And then it also gets poured into the waterways, right? And then it goes into the fish, and then the fish are are caught and then they are consumed, right? And so then that's kind of a way of thinking about the way that mercury then enters the bodies of our young ones and all of us. So in terms of, again, mercury in child health, mercury then can actually cross the placenta, accumulate in fetal brain, breast milk, and then consumed directly. Children are close to the ground. They're highly explorative, high rates of hand-to-mouth and object-to-mouth behaviors. Children are highly anabolic, rapidly growing, breathing in more air, consuming more food and fluids per unit of body weight, and they have that increased vulnerability then into adolescence. So the impact on children of mercury and other heavy metals is that they are teratogens, so they disrupt neuronal growth and differentiation and migration and synaptogenesis and myelination. Neurologic impacts include weight loss, nausea, lethargy and headaches, neurodevelopmental and behavioral disorders, and cognitive deficits. And then, of course, there's kidney impacts, which I think that we'll get quite a bit more information during the second talk, respiratory, cardiovascular, skin, and eye impact. So these are two images of little ones. And so the one on the left was born in Asangragwa in the Wassa West municipality with just the one limb. And then in Wassa Akropong, we have this one who had the multiple limbs and with both mercury and cyanide found in their bone marrow after death. So this is just an example of, I imagine, what many of you may have actually seen yourselves in clinical practice. This is an image from the Nkroba River, again, just brown, and that is not normal. And this was just earlier this month. So I'm going to wrap up actually with what I started with when I gave this kind of touched on this topic at the recent AGSM when we were talking about the impact of galamsey on environmental health. So what I want to do is just take a minute to talk about trauma, because I think that this is really an important topic that we as pediatricians have done really amazing work on over the last decade. And my perception is that it's highly relevant to what's going on, because how did we get here? Again, as I referenced earlier in this talk, I first came to Ghana in 1999. I'm not from Ghana originally. I grew up in the United States of America, and my deep apologies for what my country is doing right now globally. But Ghana, wasn't like this when I first came, right? And why? Why are we here? Why are we, what a beautiful country that Ghana is, and why are we facing this onslaught of environmental health issues? And I think that, we need to look at history and the impact of history on who we are and what we do and how we're able to do better. Right. And the fact is that Ghana was a place that was significantly impacted by historical trauma. And that happened when we're talking about the transatlantic slave trade, which was something that, I learned about when I first came to Ghana. I had no idea about, when I didn't learn about it before then. And it was, such an important thing to learn about. And I'm deeply grateful for understanding more about that through my time now in Ghana, and also, my growth in my time in America as well. And so, we just had at the United Nations, the president of Ghana proposed, so John Dramani Mahama proposed a resolution that was adopted that acknowledged the crime against humanity that slavery was, and thinking about the impact, right, of slavery and colonialism that continues to, I would say, impact Ghana, right? And we're thinking about even neo-colonialism, right? The impact of who's controlling resources, what's going on, and and why. Why. And I'm just putting up this vote too as well, so that we think about who voted for the resolution to be acknowledged, that we can acknowledge that trauma is real. Trauma impacts us as people, and it impacts our ability to move forward. So, this is a trauma responses that we've again characterized pretty well as not just as pediatricians, but I think as healthcare professionals and academics over the last decade and even more. But trauma responses are, there's several. There's certainly the fighting, right? But then there's also the trauma response of freezing, right? When you have something that's really hard that happens and that you just can't move, you're immobile, right? You have the running away trauma response. You have the kind of just flopping, flopping response, unresponsive fainting. And then we also have the fawning trauma response, and that sometimes is referred to as a Stockholm syndrome, and that's the concept of worshiping one's oppressors, right? And so I think that we all can think about whether or not what I'm saying is true, whether or not what I'm saying is applicable to Ghana, right? And if it is, how we might best move forward for Ghana to be more effective in exercising its sovereignty and resisting this onslaught, this deep tragic onslaught that is occurring. So trauma, when it impacts our bodies, it causes us anxiety, it can cause us depression, headaches, causes heart disease, weakened immune systems, high blood pressure, nerve problems, digestive problems, high blood sugar. I mean, it just impacts all of us. And so when we think about the impact of trauma on our bodies, I think as healthcare providers, we have to be really realistic that in addition to just the responses a little bit more overt, there are these aspects that are impacting our patients all the time and our ability to be well. And I want to provide this quote by Resmaa Menakem, who's a psychologist and author who's from Minnesota. I'm in the US, I'm from Minnesota, the land of double ice, which is not so funny pun that, but I think he does a lot of important work on trauma. And, so this trauma decontextualized in a person looks like personality. Trauma decontextualized in a family looks like family traits, and trauma decontextualized in people looks like culture. And I think that this, again, is reflecting back on, that first slide and just my really plea for us all to remember that what's happening in Ghana right now is not normal. This is normal, right? Ghana is a country that culturally, has a strong fishing culture, right? And loves, nature and the waterways and keeping a clean environment. That I would say would be my perception, and maybe I don't think I'm wrong, frankly. That Ghana has a phenomenal culture that is not rooted in plastic. Plastics are not culture. They are not culture, and that Ghana has so many wonderful, phenomenal solutions to promote and maintain clean environment and clean water. This is a picture on the left of a rubber tree. Ghana, as we all know, is rich in resources, and I think many of us might really make that perception, or in part of the climate change group, we've kind of talked about how that challenge, right, when a country is so rich in resources, how it is thus then vulnerable to encroachment. This is a river, again, in the western north, and this is a river that is, so pristine, one can just drink directly from it. This is I do a bit of art myself. This is an image, a rough watercolor that I did of my son. And I think what I wanted to share with you here is the way I envision the future for children is just dreaming and enjoying nature. If you probably can't quite make this out, but this would be like a dove, right? And just playing and just enjoying nature and the waterways and just that relaxation that our children deserve. And I think that this little area there is just really reflecting on, what is happening to the environment and the degradation that is occurring and that is putting us all at risk. So I'm just wrapping up with this quote from Meshach Asari, one of a prominent children's author here in Ghana. And this is called The Brass Man's Secret is the book. It's a wonderful book. And so this is, within the book, so there's a little boy who's going through a workshop where a metal workshop. And at the third door, the boy found 2 okra pods. And he had to think for a while, but he remembered the okra pod. Well, one does not see what is inside the okra pod. In the same way, one cannot know what is else. So what someone else thinks in his head. And I think that I just want to leave us with that, just thinking about what Mesha Kasar was encouraging us to do. And I think, these concepts of transparency, truth, being so important, that the more that we can continue to work and thinking about promoting psychological safety amongst ourselves, amongst our country, and sharing and having these conversations about these really hard things that we're facing as families and as a country, because if we aren't able to find a way to talk about these things and really face them and organize and on all levels, then it will be difficult. It will be really difficult for us to provide the care that our patients need and to turn around this onslaught. So thank you. And with that, I'll conclude.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Sarah Johnson. And I agree with you that plastic is not our culture. It's not. So thank you so much for such an eloquent and insightful presentation. Please, we'll take questions at the end of the second presentation by our second speaker. So kindly reserve all your questions, discussions, and inputs. Would take them after the second presentation. But currently, on the program, we have Mr. Patrick John from Glyco Life. Glyco Life is one of our sponsors for today's program, and he would like to share some few inputs and then talk about Glyco Life with us. Thank you. Mr. Patrick, please go ahead. Mr. Patrick John, please.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for the opportunity. I'm trying to share my screen so that whatever that I'm going to talk about, I'll be able to share for everybody to see it.
So Dr. Nanekuya is sharing her slides. I don't know if it's the same slides that you have.
Yes, but I think she should allow me to. She have to allow me to.
Okay. She's just pull it down. So you can go ahead, please.
Okay. Okay. So please, can you see my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So as Madam Esther mentioned, my name is Patrick Joe. I work with Glyco Life as a sector head for the middle belt. Glyco, we have for the individual life, we have 5 sectors. So we have the northern sector, middle belt sector, Accra or Greater Accra sector, southwestern sector, and then southeastern sector. So I think some of my colleague sector managers have joined. I think after this presentation, they will be going to the various teaching hospitals to engage the department about about our policies, especially the presentation that I'm going to do, so that if they need further questions about our product, they will do justice to that for us. Because of time, I'll be presenting about only 2 products because of time. So Glyco life, we have about 9 products. So we have the premium or glyco funeral plan. We have family life comprehensive plan. We have hospital cash income plan. We have personal accident, critical illness, which are the risk products that we have. And then we have a savings product, glyco enhanced life savings, education plan, and then end of service benefit plan. But as I said earlier, because of time, I will be presenting about only two um, policies, one RICS and then one savings. So the RICS, I will first start with the family life comprehensive plan. So the Family Life Comprehensive Plan is a unique term policy aimed at providing a financial guarantee of a minimum predetermined lump sum for policy holders and their families in case of death, permanent disability, and critical illness. So critical illness, when it happens, as we are all aware, have a death financial consequences on most families. Hence, families dread its occurrence. However, this plan allays such fears when you take this plan. So this plan gives you a guarantee of a lump sum. And then the lump sum that we are talking about, minimum is 100,000 Ghana cedis. So meaning you can sign on for more than 100,000 Ghana cedis. Maximum sum assured is unlimited, so you can take as much as you want. And the amount that you select will determine the monthly contribution that you will be contributing every month. And then this policy is for the main life and then spouse. And then your children will be the beneficiaries. Children will be the beneficiaries. So let's look at the age limit for those that can be eligible for this policy. So the main life age is supposed to be 18 to 35. And then the spouse also the same. In terms of the duration of the policy, the minimum duration is 10 years, maximum is 47. So the cover is limited to attainment of age 65. So let's look at the main cover or the benefit under the policy. So upon death of the policyholder or spouse, the sum assured shall be paid. So the selected sum assured that you select. So assuming you select, let's say, 1 million Ghana cedis, when sorry to say this. So when death occur, Glyco will pay the 1 million Ghana cedis to name beneficiaries. That's not all. The policy also has total permanent disability as a benefit. And that one too, when it happens to the policyholder or the spouse, the sum assured up to 100% will be paid. So for example, if you select 1 million, you have up to 1 million Ghana cedis that will be paid to you as permanent, total permanent disability. And then also, we also have critical illness benefit. So when you are being diagnosed, it says that a lump sum benefit of up to 10% of the sum assured shall be paid when the policyholder or the spouse is diagnosed with a critical illness. Critical illness shall be limited to only the specific illness named under this policy. So when we say critical illness under Glyco Family Life Comprehensive, we are limiting ourselves to only these three conditions. So the first one is stroke, second one is cancer, and then the third one is coronary artery disease requiring surgery. And we also have additional benefit aside the three main benefits, which is about the death cover, total permanent disability, and then the critical illness. Aside that, we also give, or the policy gives, free medical checkup or lifestyle medical consultancy every 2 years to the policyholders.
Mr. Joe,
So,
sorry to cut you in. Kindly double up for us, okay?
okay,
Thank you.
okay. So, as I said, so free medical checkup and then lifestyle medical consultant. So when it happens, every 2 years, the policy will give you a chance to see a medical doctor so that the person will have one-on-one engagement to you at the cost of the policy. So you won't pay anything. The policy will take care of that. Another benefit under this policy is that we have family upkeep. So the family upkeep is saying that um, um, every when the person dies, immediately Glyco will pay 5% in addition to the 100% as a family upkeep to take care of immediate expenses. Aside that, we also have premium holiday. The premium holiday says that when you pay your premium for about 24 months, um, the rest of the years, which is from the third years going, you'll be paying for 11 months instead of 12 months. So Glyco will give you 1 month free that you won't pay any premium. And one good thing about this policy is that we have premium refunds. So initially, I mentioned the three key cover under this policy. The first one is death, total permanent disability, and then critical illness. So when the policy matures, or when we reach the maturity of the policy and you have not come for any claim under this policy, all premium, even though it's a risk policy, all premium that you have paid will be refunded back to you. So your monthly contribution that will be doing on monthly basis for the 10 good years or for the 15 good years or for the 20 good years that will be doing the policy, if you have not enjoyed any benefit under this policy, Glyco will refund all the premium that you have paid back to you. And I think this makes this policy very unique. Because of time, let me jump to the other savings policy that I want to talk about. This one is a enhanced life savings. And I want to ask this question. How many of us on call that are having, let's say, a minimum of 1 million Ghana cedis in their accounts? Don't answer me. Keep the answer to yourself. This policy is an endowment policy that gives you the opportunity to select the amount that you want to get at the end of the maturity. And then the minimum sum assured is 100,000 Ghana cedis. So when the policy is matured, you will get a maturity benefit. And then there are other benefits that you'll be enjoyed under the policy aside the maturity.
Mr. Joe, please, we can't hear you. Hello, Mr. Joe. We can see
Yeah,
your slides, but we can't hear
yeah,
you.
yeah, please, can you hear me now? I think
Yes, we
somebody
can hear you now.
muted me. Okay. So the life savings policy, this one is a purely investment plan. So you, the client, will decide the sum assured that you want to get minimum 100,000 Ghana cedis. Aside that, we also give you insurance cover. The first one is for death and disability cover. Second one is family support. Every 5 years, we give you 5% of the selected sum assured. So if your selected sum assured is 1 million, we pay 5%, which is 50,000 every 5 years to you till the maturity of the policy and all that. And then we have waiver of premium. What waiver of premium means is that when the policy holder is no more or dies, Glyco will take over the monthly contribution after paying the death benefit to the person. So, for example, assuming Patrick Joe has taken this policy, sum assured is 100,000 Ghana cedis, and God forbid, maybe I involved in an accident, I become permanently disabled. Glyco will pay the permanent total permanent disability benefits, which is 100,000 Ghana cedis to my named beneficiaries. Sorry to say that when I passed on, my next of kin will come, or sorry, my beneficiaries will be paid 100,000 Ghana cedis, and then my beneficiaries will be waiting for the maturity to come. So when reach the maturity, additional 100,000 Ghana cedis will be paid to the named beneficiary. So in this case, even though the selected sum assured is 100,000 Ghana cedis, but because I was involved in an accident, and as a result of the accident, I became permanent disability, named beneficiary will be getting 100,000 Ghana cedis. Because I passed on, named beneficiary will be getting additional 100,000 Ghana cedis plus the maturity sum assured and all that. So this policy is a good plan, and I will urge each and everyone to sign on for this Glyco policy. And as you all know, Glyco is a fully Ghanaian indigenous company. This year we'll be celebrating our 40th anniversary. We happens to be the first life insurance company in Ghana, and through prudent management, now we have grown from single business unit to a multiple business unit. So now when you say Glyco, you say Glyco Group. So now we have the Glyco Life, we have Glyco Pension, we have Glyco Healthcare, Glyco General, and all that. So when you join us, you are secured. And at the end of
Okay.
it, you will get
Okay.
your promise.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Jill, for this vital information that will help us to make informed decisions when it comes to insurance. Thank you very much. We are so grateful. And thank you. This is PSG for you. You get a bit of every good thing, including insurance. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Jehu, please stay on in case somebody has a question. After the second presentation, you can answer some few questions. If people have questions for you, then you can address those questions. Okay. So we're moving on to our second presentation for today. And this will be delivered by Dr. Beatrice Yan. Dr. Beatrice Yan is a highly accomplished pediatric nephrologist. She is a clinician, educator, and a health leader with extensive experience in child health, kidney care, research, and training, dedicated to improving pediatric outcomes and healthcare systems in Ghana. She is currently the HOD for the Department of Child Health for the University of Ghana Medical Center. Please welcome Dr. Beatrice Yan, and she will be presenting on kidney health and the environment. Dr. Yan, please, we are prepared to receive your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Esther, for that very lovely introduction. Thank you very much. I'll share my slides. But before I go on, I also want to say that indeed the nephrology subcommittee of PSG has delivered. When we went for the conference in Koforidua on Friday, I told Dr. Boy, you are going to hear from us, because our conditions were totally silent on kidney conditions at that conference. I think Prophet mentioned it. So we purposed in our hearts that, look, we are going to make noise, and you've done so well. Under the leadership of Nanika, you've done so well. So this year we have done very well. And I know that it's going to even be better in upcoming years. We are going to make noise about kidney diseases and children. So thanks for this opportunity, and thanks for putting this whole thing together. I will share my slide. Let me see. Just a minute. Okay. Oh, where is everybody? Okay. think this is it. Yes, this is it. Okay. Can my slides be seen?
Yes, please, we can see.
Great. So in fact, I enjoyed the first speaker's topic. I mean, she was really doing justice to climate change and I would say environmental pollution. The wonderful pictures that she showed, and it has set the tone and the background for me to delve into the kidneys. So she's created a very nice platform for us to look at this organ and how the environment is affecting it. So thanks a lot to Prof for that wonderful expose that she did on the environment. So I am going to look at the kidneys because this month we say it's kidney month. And I've put here kidney health and the environment. So you would see and in the presentation that it is not just skewed towards the child's kidney. And it's important because we all need to take care of our kidneys. So the topic will cut across both adults and children. Is important. And as I prepared for this, actually, I became quite nervous to even breathe outside my house or my room. I became quite jittery. I was like, oh my God, the environment that we live in is becoming a threat. The very environment that we are supposed to live and thrive and survive in is becoming a threat to our existence. But anyway, we trust God that He will be with us. So we're going to look at kidney health and the environment. How is the environment affecting our kidneys? So I found this quote and I thought that it was very true, that unless we keep this planet healthy, everything else is for naught. You can imagine coming out of your house and the whole place is totally flooded. You cannot even move to work. Can you imagine extremes of temperature so much so that coming out during the day is a problem? So lifestyle has to be modified so that you work in the night. If the planet is not safe for us to live in, we will cease to exist. It will be difficult. So unless we keep our environment healthy, the trajectory with which things are going is not looking good. It's there. So unless we keep it healthy, everything would have to freeze and stop, and the kidneys are not spared. So quickly, this will be what we'll be looking at. As I said, Prof has set the tone. She has done a lot. She's done a lot of the background for me. But why is this topic so important? Why do we need to look at the kidney? These small bean-shaped organs in the body. What is the concern? It is because the prevalence of kidney diseases is rising so much at an alarming rate that now it's become a global health concern. It's not just in Ghana. All over the world, kidney disease somebody says it's becoming a pandemic. But you see, the thing too is that there are clear connections between the environment and the kidney, environmental problems and the kidney. But I don't know what it is. We know the effect of the environment of the kidney, but it's difficult to totally keep some of these activities. We know that traditionally, so as I said, we are going to look at conditions that cut across fetuses, children, adults, because it affects all of us. We know that traditionally, diabetes, hypertension, Kakut in children are well known for causing especially chronic kidney disease. But increasingly, it is becoming obvious, and research and evidence has shown beyond any reasonable doubt that the environment definitely has a role to play in this. It is not just the hypertension. It is not just the diabetes. It is not just the anomalies with the kidneys. The environment is acting to speed up things, to speed up the course of kidney disease, ending in end-stage kidney disease. So these are well-studied topics, and we all know it. I put it, what are the concerns? The other concern too is that the developing kidney in the baby, the fetal kidney, is not spared at all. And the reason why I have highlighted and bolding this is that there are problems that begin in utero that will transcend all spheres, all times of life into adulthood. And now we know the so-called renal programming or even fetal programming, that if there's an early insult to the developing fetus's kidney, the kidney adapts and comes out with a problem that cannot be restored throughout life. And those can transcend and lead to kidney disease in future. So a lot of research now is saying that adult kidney disease has its genesis in the fetal kidney. So aside hypertension, in fact, you see that it will translate into hypertension. So these problems start in utero, and the environmental insults and impacts affects the fetal kidney. So that is why this is also here. Prof has spoken to us about environmental, climate change, environmental pollution in general. I have summarized this here. So when you look at all that is happening in the environment, those that affect an impact on the kidney can be summarized in this. In fact, there are intersections between all these three. So there are pollutants that affect the kidney. Because some of the pollutants also veer into climate change because they cause climate change. And we have direct nephrotoxins in the environment. And these are also found in the pollutants. So through the air, through water, and that's what we look at. And they impact this organ, the kidneys. So let us look at pollutants. We know that it's basically anything that is in the environment that is causing harm in the environment, contaminant that is causing harm. It can be in any of these forms, whether liquid, gas, or solids. We know that. And then the important thing is that, so that's why I said in the beginning that, so how come we know that clearly the environment is affecting our kidneys, but how come we cannot stop it? It is because most of the activities are activities that are bringing income. They are man-made. There are few natural, catastrophes or disasters that can lead to pollution, like volcanic eruption, etc. Most of the things that are degrading the environment are from ourselves. They are human in orchestrated. They are from human beings. They move our economies and our society. So it's difficult. It's difficult. We saw the plastic waste there. Who is going to say that we should stop manufacturing plastics? Anyway. So these are all man-made. So let us look. So what I'm going to do basically is that we take a few of the pollutants and see the effects on the kidney. That is generally what we are going to look at now. So we are going to look at the air pollutant, air pollution. It is just, WHO defines it as just contamination of both indoor or outdoor air. It can be anything, whether it's physical, biological, chemical. I haven't put spiritual here. But anything that contaminates the atmosphere and causes damage to the body. It constitutes air pollution. It's interesting that it is not something that just came about. Over 2,000 years ago, Hippocrates saw that definitely there's a link between disease and bad air, in quotes. And this went on and on to the time that we had coal, moved on. Over the past few centuries, the developments and urbanization has been astronomical, and this has really affected our environment. So I've put here a few things for us to know and where they come from, because I think it's important. As I keep saying, as I was going through this presentation, then I realized how this is a real emergency. It is I don't think any of us can avoid any of these pollutants. I don't know, I'm not sure. Carbon monoxide from cars, trucks, etc. Who doesn't drive, or who doesn't move from their house to work? Who doesn't pass by trucks or cars with all the smoke exhaust coming out? Who doesn't, the burning of fuels, sulfur dioxide, everything here, one way or the other, and especially this, I'll talk a lot about particulate matter and its effect on the kidney, because it is so pervasive, so ubiquitous in our environment. And lead, there are some scary revelations where lead is coming from. In fact, since I started working on this presentation, I've stopped putting on lipstick. So it's interesting to know how some of these household consumer items have some of these compounds. So these are the pollutants, and these affect our kidneys. It is because we are looking at kidneys today. That's why I'm talking about kidneys, but they affect almost every organ. Prof mentioned it, neurocognitive, even the skin, the lungs, etc. And the kidneys is not spared. So let's look at particulate matter. I said I'm going to zoom in at some of the ones that have a lot of evidence to support their effect, and the ones that have quite dire consequences on the kidney. So they are just particles, either solid or liquid, that are suspended in the air. It is classified according to the size. And it's interesting to know that the smaller the size, the more hazardous that particulate matter is. because the larger ones might be trapped, even though you can inhale them, they'll be trapped in the nostrils. So they don't even get into the lungs and the other parts of the body. Those who are less than 1 can even directly go into the capillaries and into the kidneys. So the smaller the size of the particulate matter, the more harmful it can. And it's been associated with a lot of kidney problems, AKI, CKD, glomerular diseases, urological cancers. There are studies to show it. So they're not just hearsay. I came across the study, that's a pure study, that they just looked at how socio-demographic factors, exposure to environmental pollutants can affect the health of individuals. And they found out that it was done in the US and a number of countries, about a 4% rise in hypertension in those who have just been exposed to pollutants. And this was air pollutants. Just exposure to air pollutants increase your risk of having hypertension, about 4%. And we know the effects of hypertension and the kidney. So a child might not be born with Kakut, but can have CKD later of unknown origin. I'll come to that. And it's been linked to environmental pollutants. So we are going to look at it, systematically so that we understand it. Glomerular diseases, I put glomerular disease here, and air pollution. We know the kidney, you have the vessels, you have the glomeruli, you have the tubules, and so on and so forth. So we'll look at glomerular diseases. Evidence has shown, as I keep saying, that pollution is associated with glomerular disease. This large study, over 70,000 people, biopsies that were done in China, showed that those who had rise in particulate matter, that is above the average, had about 14% likelihood of having membranous nephropathy. Typically, we have membranous nephropathy from hepatitis B, lupus nephritis. But these ones had a higher association with exposure to particulate matter. And I came across this one too. Also a large population, it's a large study, but that was retrospective. It was a retrospective cohort study that looked at children that were less than 18 years. So what they did was that they used they had and we don't have that in Ghana. They had they had their NHS, and then they had air pollution database. And when I saw it, I was like, wow, air pollution database. So they looked at, just a minute, I'll call you back. They looked at children who were living in areas with high levels of exposure to sulfur dioxide, methane, and hydrocarbons. And they followed these children up from 2000 to 2012. And they realized that there was a higher association between nephrotic syndrome, minimal change disease, and those who had higher exposures to these contaminants. So sometimes we say minimal change, we can't see much on light microscopy. But then these children can have environmental causes of the nephrotic syndrome. And we know that we struggle with the nephrotic syndrome these days. There are lots that you treat, it's minimal change, you biopsy, but still they don't respond to steroid. So this was a very revealing thing, that even the idiopathic nephrotic syndrome can be caused, or can the prevalence can be associated with exposure to some of these hazardous agents. IgA nephropathy, we don't tend to see it a lot of children, though, but adults tend to see them more than we see. That as well, particulate matter is an independent risk factor for their decline. A lot of the times when you have people with IgA nephropathy, you can largely manage their declines. Some are very stable. But particulate matter is an independent risk factor for the decline, the rapid decline in their renal function. SLE, we know the pathophysiology of SLE, but the air pollutants have been implicated. So another study found that nitric oxide, carbon monoxide, particulate matter had a role to play in the progression of people who had lupus. This was adults, not children, however. And this as well, Goodpasture syndrome, hydrocarbons. So in as much as we know a lot of the pathophysiology of these conditions, now air pollutants, water pollutants are being implicated, and sometimes even when they start and show, and even their clinical course. So these can affect some of these problems that we have. Let's look at chronic kidney disease and AKI. I said earlier on that we know in adults it's hypertension, it is diabetes, in children it is Kakut, but Several studies have now shown that particulate matter can also affect the cause of a child with CKD. So we are not saying that it is totally now the causative factor of CKD in children. Kakut still is, but these exposures can affect the cause, the progression, the rate of decline in the AGFR. I came across this study as well that was done in USA. That was also, I think it was over 200,000 people or so reported a high incidence of CKD in areas who had a higher than average of particulate matter. Look at somebody who is standing on the roadside with traffic in Ghana. Can you imagine how their lungs and their kidneys will look at? Standing like, I don't want to mention any profession, but they're by the roadside. And I put it, air pollution from traffic, brake, etc. with these toxins. As for these heavy metals, they are going to come over and over again in the presentation that I'm doing. These heavy metals, arsenic, cadmium, lead, are also implicated in kidney disease. And it's been shown that there's an entity called, and I'm sure Dr. Nima Safu will know that some of the children come with CKD. They don't have kakut, in fact, especially the young adults and the teenagers. They come with CKD, no kakut, but they have CKD. You can't find the cause. Now there's an entity called chronic kidney disease of unknown origin. And a lot of studies are implicating environmental impacts and causation in this entity. Studies have also corroborated this finding, that exposure to some of the environmental toxins, especially the heavy metals, is implicated in CKD of unknown origin. And we need to look at that. I'll talk about this under climate change, but AKI, so it's not just CKD. And we pediatric nephrologists tend to see a lot more of AKI than CKD. We know that higher temperatures have been linked with AKI. I mean, it stands to reason. AKI and high temperatures, dehydration from excessive sweating, can cause perirenal AKI. And of course, with all the concentration, you can have concentration of the urine, you can have nephrolithasis as well. So I came across this study also that looks at the extremes of heat exposure and visit to the emergency room. And they realized that the risk, those who visited the ER, those who had kidney-related visit to the ER, a lot of them had AKI, UTI, and kidney stones who had extremes of temperature. We'll talk about it more because extremes of temperature can also affect other things that can cause AKI. I'll mention that briefly. Neurological malignancies. So we've left the kidneys to the bladder. So in Ghana, studies have shown that a lot of bladder cancers are in farmers, those who have been exposed to pesticide, herbicide. So these are real potential implicating chemicals in bladder cancers. And those who work with paints and dyes. It is not so much with kidney cancers. The evidence is not so much. This study also looked at that, but they didn't corroborate it, even though they said that sometimes from the study, those who were exposed to some of these herbicides and pesticides had more kidney cancers. I mean, they didn't reach statistical significance. So that is not such a strong evidence. But for bladder cancers, exposure to dyes, paints, rubber, the plastics all over, are clear-cut implicating predisposing factors for these cancers. Sometimes you can't explain some of these. We need to be looking at the environment. So let's still look at it. So I mentioned that aside the fact that they can directly cause some of the problems, they can also worsen the cause. The environmental pollutants can worsen the cause. So we are looking at the mortality from kidney disease. In 2012, the United Nations mentioned about 12.6 million deaths worldwide said to be due to environmental factors. And in 2021, they said 8 million deaths were attributable to, this is just air, not even water pollution or soil pollution, to air pollution. Air pollution is so rife, and you can't avoid air. You have to breathe to live. So it's a major canker that is deviling us these days that we need to look at. Then, as I said, and I think Prof mentioned it, this is worse in children because they inhale more oxygen compared to their body surface, compared to adults, oxygen per body surface area compared to adults. Their immune system are not so well developed, so they tend to suffer a lot from this pollution. And AKI-related deaths have, even though it can cause AKI, it also worsens the mortality outcomes with air pollution. Let's look at water pollution, and it's one that I was really waiting to talk about, and you all know that. because of galamsey. We keep saying galamsey. We see adverts on galamsey. It is still ongoing. What can we do? Our water bodies are contaminated by all these metals. I think Prof has even shown us beautiful pictures from there. So water can be contaminated by heavy metals, all these things. Sometimes you drink, you eat, I put here, yes, it can be through drinking, consuming fish. We say fish is healthy, but now is fish really healthy? Fish that is contaminated with mercury, is it healthy? Sometimes even direct, I think I got a picture with a child and yeah, it will come soon. Sometimes it's even direct skin penetration into the body. And that's what these ones, they have been studied through and through. Arsenic, cadmium, they've been studied through and through. So we'll look basically at what they do to the kidney. The heavy metals, they are so ubiquitous. They are in the air, they are in water, they are in soil, and they are causing a lot of damage. So arsenic is commonly found in groundwater that's been contaminated, and it's from the galamsey, from the mining people. It's linked to CKD, end-stage kidney disease. The same here, cadmium. As for the heavy metals, they directly, I think I have a slide on a few pathophysiological measures that they used to call, but some directly affect the kidney. Direct, not even inflammatory cytokine, they directly cause toxicity to the kidney. Lead. The causes, the sources of lead leaves me a bit shaken and shattered, because even sometimes from piping, plumbing works, there can be leaching of the lead into the water, and they can also cause CKD. So now there's a high thing, it's an escalation of CKD in the system. Sometimes you cannot explain. Mercury exposure, as that one is mainly fish. Who knows? We might be in Accra, you'll be eating fish from wherever contaminated with mercury. So I found one study here, but there are lots of studies that look at that. But arsenic, cadmium, lead, direct impact on the kidney, and then mercury. I put here uranium, also for mining. So mining uses a lot of these heavy metals. Lead, they use. Mercury, where's mercury? They use. All these things are leaking into our water bodies, and we are consuming them. I will put, so these ones, these PFAS are found in a lot of consumer products, a lot of them. Sometimes even the coating of canned fish, a lot of things that even non-stick frying pans have these PFAS. Non-stick frying pan, so you use it a little bit, you see a little bit is chipped, and it's chipped, and it's chipped, and it's chipped. Lord have mercy upon us. And all these things cause CKD, leading to end-stage kidney disease. As for the biological agents, we know already, like to start schisto, we know that if it's untreated, chronic can cause CKD. So this is galamsey. So look at this child here. All the means of, entry of these heavy metals she can get. The skin is right in the water. We are not sure what they are going to use the water for, whether washing, whether. So the child is a child as well. It's at risk. So galamsey, we keep talking about galamsey, but anyway, we all will do a little bit to see how we can fight it. So they use mercury. I'm told that mercury is a cheaper means of trying to get the gold out of, where the source that it is in. But sometimes they also use cyanide, they use lead. And as for these heavy metals, we cannot overemphasize their toxicity to the kidney. They have been studied through and through. This river, I don't know whether it's Angobra or Pra, one of them. But we've seen lovely pictures in the first speaker's presentation. All our water bodies are brownish. It is sad. So I came across Prof. Calistego, a friend of mine. So they looked at an integrated assessment of artisanal and small-scale gold mining in Ghana. The health review. So they looked at a lot of things, not just the kidney. They just looked at general health. And they were emphatic to say that. So they looked at all the mining areas, even in the north, and a number of them here, Cobra, Prisia, all those places. And in their summary, they said that the result provides evidence from all the multiple sites that they compared those who were miners to those who were not miners, that they had relatively high levels of mercury and other heavy metals in there. So they did urine and then they did hair in these miners. And they had higher levels of these heavy metals compared to those people who were not miners. And we know the repercussions of these in the body in general and the kidney. So basically these heavy metals, especially, and then all the other ones, the particulate matter, work through oxidative stress, as I mentioned. So there's a lot of free oxygen radical in the body, causing inflammation and so on. Some do direct damage to the kidney. Some will cause immune complex deposition, and carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons actually will stimulate immune complex deposition in the body. And some would alter genes, so mutations in the gene, so that this will stimulate or cause a dysfunctional antioxidant response, and ozone has been implicated. So this is basically how they work to affect the kidney. I've just put this cartoon picture here. So they are coming from all these sources: carbon monoxide, particulate matters of different sizes, nitric oxide, sulfur dioxide. You inhale, goes into the circulation and stimulates all this inflammatory cascade. Mitochondrial change, it goes into the kidney. So if it's a mother, I think I'll talk about the fetal kidney. Then there's program even before the child is born. Nephron mass is down. This child is already predestined to have CKD. And all this, some of the things that I mentioned about here is here. So this is just a summary of what these pollutants can do to the kidneys. So climate change, Prof has talked about it. We know what it is. We know. So let me just go straight and talk about what it does to the kidney. So basically, as the heat or the temperature is rising on the earth, there's some places where you only have to come out. Somewhere in the Middle East, a lot of activity happens rather in the night because the heat is so high and so unbearable, over 45 degrees Celsius and so on and so forth. You can imagine being in a very, very hot climate, perspiring like nobody's business, losing fluid, not replacing the fluid. You become dehydrated. Dehydration will lead to a lot of these things. So heat stroke, as we know, is one of the most recognized and studied heat-associated illness. And it is also complicated by the AKI. Because once you have dehydration, as I put here, urine concentration goes up, there is acidification, things will crystallize, and then you have nephrolithasis. Good. This is also another way to look at it. In our environment, as pediatricians, we know a lot of our AKIs as a result of malaria with intravascular hemolysis. Malaria, the vector-borne diseases like this malaria thrives in warmer climates. So as the climate change goes on, temperatures go up, malaria incidence goes up. It will be a significant contributor to acute kidney injury in our environment. Let's look at the fetal. So the fetal kidney is what I'm really interested in, because that is where if we're able to act, because sometimes those ones you can do nothing about once the child is born. So we all know that the nephron number is a major determinant of kidney health for life. Averagely, we have about 1 million nephrons, but there's a range, just like in everything in life. So you can have a range between 250,000 to 2.5 million. You can imagine if somebody is born with 500 nephrons, somebody has 2 million, who would get CKD? And we cannot tell by looking at an individual who has and who doesn't have. So it's been shown that these chemicals, when exposed to mothers, cause preterm birth, cause low birth weight, even when they are born at term. And we know that these two are major risk factors for reduced nephron number, because even though nephrogenesis starts in the first trimester, it is not complete until about 36 weeks of life. So if you're having a preterm baby born about 28 weeks, they don't have the full complement of nephron number. And once you have reduced nephron number, there is compensatory glomerular hyperfiltration, because you still need to support the same organs. It doesn't reduce the work you have to do as a kidney. You need to do it. Once you have hyperfiltration, you have glomerular hypertension that causes glomerular sclerosis. And then you lose more of the nephrons later in life. And then you have CKD. So the fetal kidney, the stage of pregnancy is very crucial for organogenesis and exposure to these chemicals. And some of these can be transmitted transplacentally. You will see where some of them can be found. So once these mothers are exposed to some of these heavy metals, you can have congenital anomalies of the kidneys and the urinary tract in the offspring. Anecdotally, I mean, we are seeing a lot of Kakut. I am seeing a lot of PUJs. Typically used to be unilateral. Now it's bilateral. I've put in there that we need to do research to help us. We need to sit and put a lot of these data together. It's one of the major steps to help confidently talk about and implicate some of these heavy metals in our environment. But it's been shown, studies have shown that exposure to these increases the risk of CACUT in these fetuses and babies. I've spoken about fetal renal programming, an insult in a developing fetus. Even if it's exposure, malnutrition, etc., causes a permanent damage in that kidney that's been formed that cannot be changed. And that is what will lead to CKD in future that you might not find causes for. This I have mentioned, sulfur dioxide causes urogenital anomalies. As for the consumer products chemical, when I saw it, my heart just skipped a beat. I'll show you this thing there right away. So this just is a diagram just representing all that I've spoken to. So once exposure happens, there's renal programming, this child, hypertension, CKD, almost inevitable in this child. Let's look at some of ways so that we all advise ourselves and then see. Look at where some of these things are coming from. Where is the food packaging? Plastics, that's what plastics, we won't even talk about plastics. Sometimes even medical tubings, food packages. Where did I see the saucepan? I like to use a lot of non-stick saucepan because you want to get the food nice and all that. But, so see here, the PFAS, non-stick cooking wares, a lot of PFAS in those ones. And because the effect is what I've put here, hypertension, reduced kidney function. Once kidney function is being reduced, and if generally even aging will cause a reduction in kidney function. So already you are being exposed to this, you are aging, it is a recipe for CKD. And that is why we are getting alarming statistics for CKD. A lot of these things, lead, salt, some cosmetics even have lead in it, and so on and so forth. It is scary. So what are some of the, I've spoken a lot about what the problem is, what they can do to the kidney. Basically, they can either cause a problem in utero, you come out with a reduced nephron number, nephron mass, hypertension can be formed, CACUT can be one of the problems, all eventually leading to CKD and end-stage kidney disease. That is basically what they are doing to us. God forbid though. So there's a need for urgent global attention. There is a need. When I read this, I was like, hey, this is an emergency. We need to talk about it. I talk about strengthening data systems. Without data, you cannot confidently and emphatically talk about things. We need, especially local studies, we need to look at our CACUT, look at where they can do studies that can do some causalities and zoom into the kidneys. We have to look at it as what's a PSG nephrology subcommittee and do comprehensive research. This one, I don't know how I can underscore it more. Put in place policies. There are policies. When I was looking at this thing, we have the Minerals and Mining Act, was done in 2006, revised. I don't know. But they need to properly enforce some of these policies. I don't know how the developed countries have done it, but I put here that we can look at the techniques that have worked in the high and middle income countries. Because you walk on the streets and the fumes that are coming from a truck or a bus, it's as if you can hold it, it's palpable. We have to look at how to look at our emission reduction. You will see a very, very rickety car passing on the street just by somebody, I won't mention any profession, who needs to call and check. They won't do it, but they'll come to you, sit in your car with no exhaust, and ask to see some funny thing. We need to look at these things. And then our public transportation, I think is one thing that our authorities need to look at, because a lot of the pollutants are coming from cars and buses, those emissions. Those coming from factories are there though, but our transportation, it will be good to have good public transport so that we don't all drive to work. You can use a bus comfortably, sit in and go to work and do the same back to your house to reduce the pollution in it. Recently, a friend of mine said that, hey, those times when he used to live in California, as soon as he comes to Ghana, he see that the air has changed. I was like, for what? The better or the worse? He said, no, the air is polluted in Ghana. I was like, really? I thought the developed countries had a lot of pollution rather than what we have. But it looks like it's not. We need to do these things and urgently call for, stringent enforcement of some of these policies. So I put here, still mitigation, policy, regulation. Ghana, we have some of the best laws, but enforcement is a problem. We need to be uncompromising with this. That's what the Galamsey is. We shall leave it on this slide. And we need to look at non-polluting renewable energy resource. Solar is there, hydrothermal, geothermal is there. We have to look at it so that, the pollution comes down. And then, unfortunately, if we are unable to address all these, at least as clinicians, we can do this. And that's what we are doing. We are talking to people about the impact of these regular checks, kidney function, at least once a year. Do a urine dipstick, your kidney function, at least just in case. Then early measures can be instituted. And I've said further research. We need to do research. We need to do research. But it's all everybody. It's not just government. It's not just ministers, it's not just clinicians, everybody, the general public. Before I came to one of my patients' father said, Doc, can I listen? I said, sure, come and listen. Everybody needs to listen. It is a global emergency. It's an emergency. So in conclusion, we know it's clear that the nexus between environmental pollutant, climate change, and kidney health is very well established. It's established, and we need urgent, multifaceted action. As for Ghana, a call to action on stringent regulation of galamsey in our country. It needs to be done now. Important here to note that maternal chemical exposure in pregnancy has a direct link in the fetal development. And once that happens and renal programming goes on, it just predestines this child for CKD in future. So once we're able to tackle some of the prenatal exposures, we can reduce the burden of that disease and life. I think we should be talking about some of these things at antenatal clinics. Our obstetricians should be involved. Here we have the pregnancy school. We should make these things, some of these involved. Let people know. Spraying, herbicide, pesticide during pregnancy, we should cut down these things. I've spoken a lot about, we all have a role to play. We all have, every one of us has a role to play in protecting our kidneys and our environment. Thank you very much. I think these are some of the references that I use. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Yan. Thank you. Indeed, this is a global emergency. And I just wish the DVLA, the MTTU, and the police will actually get an update, a presentation of this sort, so that, they'll get to know that it's not just about the roadworthy sticker, but then they must also ensure that the particulate matter and the others that are coming out of the exhaust pipes and all that, they are not really healthy for our kidneys, and they are not healthy for us as human beings. So, of course, we all have a role also to play to ensure that we service our vehicles regularly and teach our children that those ones are very harmful to the body as well. Thank you very much for such a wonderful presentation. Please, next on our schedule is a message from Dr. Kwesi Ankomash. He is one of our sponsors, again, for this month's program. He is the CEO of Anchor Diagnostics. In fact, those of us in Kumasi here, most of us know him and the wonderful work he is doing. So Dr. Ankoma, thank you very much for sponsoring us, and we would like to hear from you. Please, you have the floor. Please, do we have Dr. Ankoma on?
Esther, he's on, but I don't know why he's not talking.
Dr. Ankoma, please unmute and speak to us, please. Or we could probably take one or two questions. Then when Dr. Ankoma is ready, he'll speak with us. So please, the floor is now open for questions, inputs, discussions. So in the chat box, there's a question that says, Prof, thank you for the enlightened submission. But may I know from your observation, is Ghana doing well to avoid this air plastic effect on our health? If not, may I know your suggestions and solutions, if possible? I'm sure this for Prof. Sarah Johnson.
I'll show my face. Why not? I think that can be fun. So I think Dr. Nyan actually provided some really great responses to that. And I think in terms of solutions, so I would say, no, we are not doing well. I think unequivocally, Ghana is not doing well regarding these issues. And I think that we actually, unfortunately, are amongst the leaders in terms of pollution in many different realms globally, which is really unfortunate. So I think that there are solutions. I think that what Dr. Nyan talked about in terms of the fact that, there are some really powerful laws on the books, but it's all about accountability. It is all about accountability. And I think I've recently heard kind of this term that, power without accountability, that is highly problematic. And that's what we need to do through speaking truth, just calmly, right, to power, and really saying, no, these are the things that we need and that are required. And I think that I think that the point that bringing this type of information to other civic or civil service organizations, such as DVLA, is such a great idea, frankly, because so often I think that folks do just need that information, just that this is a paramount issue in terms of the health of the citizens, the country.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, any other question? Okay, so please, there's a link that has been shared in the chat box, and kindly fill it for your CPD point. Okay. Please, do we have a question for our presenters? Okay, I understand Dr. Ankuma is on. Doc, please, if you are on, would like to hear from you. Hello, Dr. Ankuma.
Esther, I think he's trying to join again, so we can move on when he's on.
All right. Please, any questions, contributions, inputs, anything you'd like to share with us? Okay. So, in the absence of questions, inputs, and further discussions, I would now like to... Hello? Okay. I would now like to call on the PSG subspecialty group chairperson. Hello.
There's a question in the chat box. Check.
Okay. Yes, please. Okay. It says that, please, how will the clinician know that the condition is idiopathic nephrotic syndrome? Please, anybody at all can.
No,
Yes.
Yes,
Please,
so
how
that's
will the clinician know?
yeah. So that's why I was saying that you do a biopsy, minimal change, you don't find much. You understand? So, but then you know that beneath it, it's a pollutant that is affecting. So it will be difficult to clearly tell, clinically, oh, this is a pollutant, this is this. We need to do studies. We need to do studies. That's why I said we need to do studies. Clinically, they all come with the same features of nephrotic syndrome. Even if you biopsy, so far I haven't seen any like classic or pathognomonic histological feature to say that, oh, arsenic nephrotic, this is the histological features. Oh, this is so far we haven't read or seen anything like that. It'll all be the same histological features that you have, but you know that beneath it is a pollutant that is causing it. Maybe with time. So that's why we need research. With time, we might see a pattern and probably say that, oh, okay, right, this is what these ones are coming with, as opposed to idiopathic nephrotic syndrome. But so far, we haven't been able to find a specific way to distinguish between those two. So we need research. We need research to look at that.
Thank you very much, Doc. We need research. Please, any other question? There's a question here. It says that for a mother who may have been educated that fish is a good source of protein for children, and now hearing that this may be complicated as well due to the influx of the heavy metals, what other options may this parent feel safe to fall on for the child?
Let me see. Anybody? any brilliant ideas? Anyway, there are other options to the other options to fish protein. So we have the legumes and all that. But the thing too is that even some of these sometimes are also contaminated. But you can have other options from plant-based proteins. That is not to say that every fish we are consuming in Ghana has a mercury in it. You understand? That's not to say that every fish has mercury in it. But the other options to fish, assuming that every fish is contaminated with mercury, which is not, the other options. You have your plant-based proteins that you can have. So they are plant, but it's not to say that every fish is contaminated, so that now our mothers go and now be dealing with malnourished children with kwashiorkor because of mercury contaminated fish. There's egg, you can give egg. There are other sources of protein too that you can give. That so I'm sure Profs, you can chip in that, or anyone who wants to talk on that. But the other sources of protein, not only fish, and we are not saying that every fish is also contaminated with mercury. So malnutrition is important. We need to keep the children healthy and not with protein deficient. We need to keep them healthy nutritionally. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think that is just the conundrum, right? And so why this is such an existential crisis. So at the, we had the pre-conference track of the AGSM that was dedicated to, right, this issue, Galamsey and health. And we took a One Health perspective. So we actually had people from kind of representing more the agricultural sector and talking about the impact of, now this water on food and then on animals, and seeing that even, like amongst the cattle, that the actual, like the protein density was less, so the quality, right? And so, this is the reality that that fish, that probably, all sorts of our food systems and stuffs are being impacted by this menace. And so why it is so important that we address it, because at the end of the day, these are really important proteins that are here for a reason, for the growth and well-being of our children and ourselves.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Others sometimes also sort of rearing fish at home, like tilapia, small tilapia, backyard tilapia farming. But I wonder how many people, will get the time and maybe the resources. Maybe as a community, 2, 3, 4 houses can come together and do something small, like community fishing, something, maybe in a medium to long term. And that may also help. Please, we have a question. Somebody says, will a child with nephrotic syndrome be put on prednisolone and lisinopril? Will a child with nephrotic syndrome be put on prednisolone and lisinopril? I think he wants to find out if it's okay.
Yeah, so I'm sure the question is, assuming this child's nephrotic syndrome is precipitated by a pollutant. I'm sure that's what the person means.
Okay.
Because definitely with nephrotic syndrome, once you're seeing a nephrotic for the first time, you will start with prednisolone. You will start with steroids and go on to see who will respond and who will not respond. So then as you go on to who will not respond, you want to biopsy, you want to find out any causes, and then you can add on some of these other things. Definitely, you will start with prednisolone. Prednisolone.
Okay. Okay. So aside questions, there are comments. Also, somebody says, can I get the slides in my email? I'll be grateful. Okay. And then Dr. Lako also says, excellent presentations and passionate presenters. Thank you, Dr. Lako. And then Mr. Prince Imbro says that, please, thank you for the opportunity and for the insightful presentations so far. And then Dr. Charlene Kilbauer says, great session. Thank you. Okay. All right. So, please, is Dr. Ankuma back?
Not yet, but I thought Dr. Davis' hand was on. Has he raised his hand? I don't know if he's still on.
Oh, okay. I can't see it from here. Dr. Debbie, please go ahead. Sorry. Dr. Debbie.
Yeah, hi. Thank you very much. I agree with all those who are saying this has been a brilliant, exposing, revealing presentation, highly well-researched topics, and thank you very much. I wanted to also draw our attention to some outbreaks that are currently in the West African sub-region in the past 5 years, and actually one dates back from 2018 in Nigeria, where in the Sokoto area, Sokoto, Kaduna area, where seasonally they are noticing outbreaks of malnutrition, abdominal distension, picture looking typical like pancreatic disease and also malnutrition combination together. And they narrow it down to heavy metal poisoning. So in a sense, we need to be mindful of what is going on. Prof. Johnson Sarah highlighted some areas in Ghana like Agbogbloshie, being a center, highly polluted area with electronic waste that we are not able to manage. Additionally, gold mining areas where we use certain metals, heavy metals, arsenic, mercury, arsenic, and others, including cobalt and cadmium. They are in Nigeria, they are seeing this outbreak, and it's seasonal. During a combination of factors add to this. So if we don't even see clear stand-alone causes of renal failure, of organ dysfunction as a result of heavy metal poison. In combination with other predisposing factors, these could affect cases that we have. And these are cases that are happening in pediatrics, I mean, in children, among children, not adult specific. The Nigerian one, Kaduna, it's the same thing. And then in Sierra Leone, also there was an outbreak with acute kidney injury. This quickly was narrowed down to the fact that some ingredient, not active ingredient in cough mixtures that were prescribing actually led to quite a significant number of children actually came down with acute kidney injury and or acute kidney failure in that sense. So we need to be mindful of these. So the second one, which is the Sierra Leone one, more or less a polytant actually in the products that were being used for children imported from India contributed to this. And we need to, as being advocate in some areas, our regulators and our authorities, standards bodies should look into some of these things to prevent that. Let's, as clinicians, also be looking out for such occurrences that we might not even take care of. Sometimes it's insidious. You might not see it very well. You see it only during a certain period of time and it vanishes. Another period of the same time, the following year, you see something little. If we can start looking into that, sharing information, this will help us bring such challenges to the table. Dr. Nyan, I couldn't agree with you more to the fact that we need to do more research. We need to do more research. You know, there's a component for information for advocacy right now to push for banning of certain aspects like artisanal galamsey, artisanal mining. But for the patient who is suffering right now, what do we do? How do we treat them? Just like you were asking. We don't know. We don't even know their clinical presentation. How much more what to treat them with and how to treat them. These are important topics that I guess we could guide some of our residents, some of our master students, and some of our PhD students who are interested. Float this around to them and let's see if they can get some additional information for us in help managing patients at the clinical level. Over from me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adebi, for prompting us as to the kind of questions and topics that we have to really be thinking about. Thank you very much. Please, Dr. Ankoma, we still want to hear from you. Please, are you on? Okay.
I'm on now. You can hear me.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Sorry for keeping you waiting. And thanks for the opportunity. First of all, thanks for the lectures. They've been very insightful, and I've learned a lot. I mean, we continue to learn every day. The only thing we never stop doing is learning. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share something small with you about Anchor Diagnostics. We do all sorts of diagnostic imaging mainly, all ultrasound studies, and as you know, we do a lot of pediatric works for the nephrology unit, for other units too. We also do, apart from ultrasound, we do echo ECG, now mainly adult, but we'll try to become pediatric friendly since we are now having a partnership with the Pediatric Society of Ghana. Then we do also spirometry, and that one is also mainly, we do both pediatric and adult. And for that, I can say that we do a lot of pediatric work too. Then also endoscopy and both upper and GI endoscopy. Now we also try and then become pediatric friendly with that. So that's what we do. And if you have any, the other things we do, breast biopsies and other biopsies, and biopsies, okay, since pediatrics also do a lot of biopsies. So in summary, that's the range of services that we provide, and we are happy to partner with the Pediatric Society of Ghana and the nephrology subgroup or any other group to share knowledge and then in ensuring optimum care for our patients. Thank you very much. I won't take too much of your time since you spend so much time to try to get me on. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nkuba. Thank you so much. And we are grateful that you want to be pediatric friendly in terms of diagnostics and imaging as well. We are grateful and we'll be in touch. Please,
Yeah.
we would now like to hear from the subspecialty group chairperson. I'm sure a lot of us have been waiting to hear from the speakers. Have commended her so much on the hard work that she's putting to ensure that we have a wonderful program this month. And we are now ready to hear from Dr. Nanekuya Bakuma Ajiman Apia. Doc, please, your audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Esther. And it's been a long journey and it's been an exciting webinar today. And I'm very happy that we're able, when we're starting, the numbers are like 14. I was like, where is everyone? But I'm so happy that we had this audience. I'd like to thank, first of all, God for this day. As Dr. Nyan said, as Dr. Nmasafo said, even during our last AGSM, it looks like all the speakers were very silent on the kidney disease. They talked about all the other NCDs except kidney. And this year, we decided to go out. And if you look at the theme, the World Kidney Day theme, we said kidney health for all. So we are not leaving anyone out. Usually, I think we do more talks for the adults. We sort of not do much for the children. But this year, the PSG nephrology subgroup, we decided to go into the schools, screen school children, get on board on the radios and talk, even in the churches. And it's still ongoing together with our messages. So we've involved all, but we also look at the other side of the theme and said, caring for the planet. So what can we do? I know most of us, yes, we want to care for the planet, but what's the link? Now that we have all the knowledge, we are going out there. Today, we've been reminded by both speakers, Prof. Sarah and Dr. Beatrice Nyan, the way I've pulled them behind the scenes within a very short period, and they gladly accepted. Now that we have the knowledge, we are not only going to sit in our clinics, we are going out there wherever we are in our small corners, not just about the galamsey, but how do we even dump refuse just in the gutters? Any opportunity you get, let's try and talk about it. What the market women are doing in our markets, what they are using on our food to get it ripened fast so that we can eat. Every opportunity you get, just try and educate. Don't wait for the patient to come to the ward or to come to the clinic before we start educating. This year, we are going all out. We are doing more prevention. It's been a long month, the kidney month, but we are not ending. Even if March ends, we are still continuing. And I would like to use this opportunity to thank our chairperson for chairing this meeting as well. It was also on a short notice, but she always opens her arms to us. We call her our mommy. Dr. Nmasafo, thank you so much. And to our speakers, thank you so much. And let me also thank the backbone. I have a team that I call the Nephron. So please allow me, Doctors Nananya Koble, Haruna Mahama, Francis Akwete, Kwame Akoi, Squadron Leader Thaddeus Ohini Pepra, Lieutenant Ekia Men, the MC herself, Sister Esther, she's amazing. Jennifer Asaman. And if you've been following us, sometimes you see some posts from our little pediatric nephrologist, the boss baby, and her mom, Dr. Abigail. We are so, so grateful. And we are grateful for the audience that joined today. We don't take it for granted. And to our sponsors, to Spectra, Glycolife, and to Anchor Diagnostics. We also reached out not too early, but you didn't turn us down. And we are very, very happy that this month's celebration has been very exciting. And we cannot end by not thanking PSG. PSG gave us this platform. Without this platform from PSG, so from Nick, Dr. Hilda Mantibia Boy, And even PSG Ashanti, led by Dr. Eugene Mati, we really want to say thank you. And to all our seniors. And as we move from here today, please, let's keep on be advocates. Wherever we find ourselves, the research, it doesn't have to be large numbers, but even from your small corner, we can always get it done. And then we link up, we share more ideas, and see how we can protect the Ghanaian child and their kidneys, as well as all the other organs. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Doc, and God bless you so much. So we'd now like to hear from our HOD. We'd now like to hear we'll get closing remarks from our chairperson, Dr. Anima Safo. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Esther. As I stated earlier, I knew our speakers were going to do an awesome job, and they've really nailed it for Prof. Sarah Johnson. Thank you so much. His presentation on climate change and its effects on the child really sat very well with me. She said air pollution is pervasive in Ghana. Plastic waste is a plague. And for the heavy metal poisoning from gold mining, I mean, it's a menace. If you see that 65% of water bodies in Ghana polluted due to galamsey, then it's something else. Thank you, Prof. She said, unless we keep this planet healthy, everything else is for naught. And planetary health is not health. I think this is a message we have to sing along the whole year round. And our second speaker, Dr. Beatrice Nyan, my own sister, with his presentation on kidney health and the environment, said, environmental factors are increasingly being recognized as causes of kidney diseases. And the pollutants are from human sources, air and water. And she said, we all have a role to play in protecting our environment and our kidneys, including doing research. We are doctors, so I think she has thrown the challenge to us as clinicians. We should get ourselves involved in research. And I'll end by saying that kidney care is not limited to a single day event. Let's keep the energy alive and continue raising awareness all year long together. Because our kidneys, we need our kidneys to live. I always say that there are two organs in your body. This is Chair saying it. There's no contention to this. Your kidneys and your heart. And we are kidney people, so we say that we are the first. So let's protect our planet and protect our kidneys. And once we do that, we'll live long, despite all the days God has given us. So thank you, audience. You stayed throughout 75, and we are still 75. And thank you, PSG Ashanti, for giving me the opportunity to chair this wonderful webinar, which includes all of us. Thank you to the team for a yeoman's job done. I'm sure we have a few days to end the month and to conclude it nicely. So thank you, and over to you, Madam Chair, Madam MC. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anima. Thank you so much. We need our kidneys to live. We are so grateful for chairing this program for us. And please, Dr. Mami Frema will take us through announcements and the closing prayer. But before that, kindly go into the chat box and then fill the link form for your CPD points, please. Okay. So without wasting much time, Dr. Mami Frema, please, we are ready for announcements and the closing prayer, please.
Esther, she's written she can't unmute.
Yes, I've been able to.
Okay.
All right. Good evening, everyone. And nephrology subspecialty group, PSG Ashanti, PSG National is so grateful to you for putting together a series of programs for us to have an awesome month. It's been very impactful, and today's session hasn't been anything less of exciting and very educative. We want to say a very big thank you to the entire group for leading this for us, PSG. So we have few announcements. The first one is our dues. So we are reminded of our dues, 10 cedis for non-doctors and 20 cedis a month for doctors. So for the non-doctors, 120 cedis at the end of the year, and for the doctors, 240 Ghana cedis at the end of the year. So we can pay to Kesewa, and we have our PSG Ashanti Momo number on our page. So if you want any information as to how to pay, you could contact any of the executives and we would help you out. And the second one is Ashanti Region Exciting Program, which is the Healthy Child Fair. So hopefully this year we are hoping to have the Healthy Child Fair on 1st May. We've come back to our 1st May. So we want us all to save the date. And as the time approaches, we'll keep everybody updated. But for now, we want to encourage everyone to block 1st May for Healthy Child Fair, which is organized by PSG Ashanti. And I'm very hopeful to see everyone at the Healthy Child Fair. That's all we have for the team now. But be rest assured, PSG Ashanti has a wonderful package for us this year, as we always do. So I'll take the closing prayer. Dear Lord Jesus, we thank you so much for such a great session today. We thank you impact on our health. We pray for grace to do what is expected of us. We pray for grace to be able to help these vulnerable ones. And at the end of the day, when all is well, we'll give glory and honor to your holy name. We thank you for the nephrologists, our specialty group. And as they continue and complete the month, continue to give them ideas and wisdom to take us through. We thank you for the answered prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. And bye for now. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.